Welcome to Hub City TV, a USM student news magazine production. We're your source to what's happening around the Pine Belt. I'm your host, Allie Holston. Tragedy strikes the USM community this week as 3 USM football players remain hospitalized after a nightclub shooting.
Indeed, with a heavy heart that on behalf of our university I confirm to you this afternoon that 3 of our University of Southern Mississippi students were injured in the early hours this morning in an altercation outside of a local nightclub.
Linebackers Martez Smith and Tim Green and defensive end Dedrick Jones continue to recover from injuries sustained from gunshot wound. Smith took 3 bullets, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors removed bullets from one of Jones's lungs earlier this week, and Green was shot in the throat. According to Fedora, the players expressed regret.
To hear them say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for letting the team down. And for Tim Green, he's got to, he writes that down for me because he can't speak right now. And I'm really sorry that I've hurt the team.
The altercation at Remington's Hunt Club left people scared and confused.
And I was just scared because I knew something had happened, but I never would have guessed the severity. I never would have guessed that some people that I know very well would have been injured very seriously from it.
The altercation began inside the club.
I'm not really sure what happened, like what provoked the fight, but to my understanding, some of the players got into an altercation with some other guys at the club.
Once the parties exited the building, altercation continued and shots were fired.
Police arrested and charged Patricia Lofton Brown and Cleothas Wilkerson with 3 counts of accessory after the fact of aggravated assault. The assumed assailant, Travis Brown, remains at large. Police filed 3 warrants for aggravated assault on Brown and asked for your help in locating him. Brown is a 6'1" black male at 185 pounds. If you have any information, please contact the police at 545-4911 or Crime Stoppers at 582-STOP. Judge set bond for both Patricia Brown and Cleothas Wilkerson at $1.5 million each. In our following story, Austin Simmons covers how the university and community copes with such a tragedy.
Obviously our whole team is concerned with the health and welfare of their teammates and their brothers.
Head coach Larry Fedora responds to the tragic shooting of 3 of his players. The shooting took place just hours after a conference win over nationally ranked Central Florida. While linebackers Martez Smith and Tim Green and defensive end Dedrick Jones recuperate in a local hospital, the football team learns to cope with the tragedy. According to Coach Fedora, that means maintaining a sense of normalcy.
You have to be sensitive to what's going on, obviously, and then at that point we have to try, we have a job to do. Our football team has a game this week. It's not going to change, and they have to be prepared, and our coaches have to prepare them, not only physically but mentally. And so we have to try to put this behind us as quickly as possible, at the same time keeping those guys involved in their thoughts and prayers.
According to former team chaplain Father Tommy Conway, a good way to recover from this tragic event is through team unity.
As a team, being there for each other, listening to each other, talking it out. Some of them are going to be angry, some of them are going to be upset with the whole fact that it happened. Some of them will be upset with the fact that the players would even put themselves in that situation.
According to clinical therapist Dina Crawford, the method of recovery isn't always a straight line.
It's a process. People think you get to the denial stage and then you check it off the list. You get to the sadness stage and you check it off your list. That's not how it works. It's not a road from this, you start here and end here. It's about a process of going in between those things.
As a sign of unity, some student organizations like the Wesley Foundation try to help students cope with the event through a prayer service. Freshman Tim Wise attended the vigil and hopes the students' prayers help in the healing process.
It was really heartfelt, and it really can help move people, and just really hope that it really helps affect the families. Hope that they can feel God moving through them, just based on our prayers tonight.
For the past 3 years, the football team has dealt with late-night criminal incidents. According to Fedora, becoming a man means learning to make the right decisions.
You have to make decisions on your own, and you've got to make decisions and understand that there are consequences to every decision you make. It's something that we talk about all the time. And kids are going to make mistakes. They pay those consequences, whatever they may be, and they move on and they learn from them and they grow. And that's how they become a full-grown man.
But when it comes to counseling, Fedora says he can only guide the players so much.
unless they moved in with me and everybody lived with me and rode to work with me and went home with me, I don't think that we're going to be able to stand over them for 24 hours a day. It's not going to happen. It still boils down to the choices you make, and you know, you have to, you know, try not to put yourself in a bad situation. And unfortunately, you know, that was a bad situation.
Reporting for Hub City TV, I'm Austin Simmons.
Hattiesburg's Mayor Johnny Dupree and City Council members vote to temporarily close the Remington's Hunt Club, the site of the recent shootings. License suspension will last for 30 days. In the span of 9 months, police responded to 129 incidents at the Hunt Club. The club's owners has 10 days to appeal the suspension and request a hearing with the City Council. USM's campus faces another difficult battle with this time with its budget. Excuse me. Hub City TV reporter Holly Kuros investigates the recent budget cuts, resulting in the elimination of several tenured faculty members.
But first, let me just give you a bit of an overview.
Back in August, the nearly $15 million budget cuts included the elimination of 29 tenured faculty members, academic programs, and numerous academic support services. Both faculty members and students remain upset over the cuts.
Really, the thing that bothered me most about the entire ordeal was that the administration never told me. It wasn't until I confronted somebody about the proposed cuts that they told me that there was the potential that my major was being cut.
According to President Saunders, the University Priorities Committee determined what would be cut. Saunders sympathizes with the USM community, but says the cuts were necessary.
It still doesn't feel good, and we recognize that. But when I talk to students, I also say, who would volunteer to surrender their, if I were not talking to them, I would be talking to another student.
One USM student, however, proposes an alternative solution to cutting tenured faculty members. Junior Daniel Miles says the answer lies in distributing university funds more efficiently.
To redirect money back into the E&G fund, which would give the university more money to spend on itself internally.
Some on campus criticize the administration's decision to increase Coach Fedora's salary, but according to Saunders, that decision was made prior to the budget crisis.
A part of that extension of his contract included a raise.
Many students and faculty, however, still doubt the mission of the university in light of recent cuts in spending.
We are an educational institution. It'd be nice if we could maintain our educational programs and find someplace else to make budget cuts.
But according to President Emeritus Aubrey Lucas, who's experienced many USM trials, the school will overcome.
We regret the need to cut, but it is a reality that we cannot escape, but we'll come through it.
We have until June 30th to make absolute final decisions.
Budget cut appeals will continue through the spring. Reporting for Hub City TV, I'm Holly Kuros.
You can now add Mississippi to a growing list of states banning the sale of synthetic marijuana known as spice. Hub City TV's Nathan Johnson has the story.
You can't buy spice in Hattiesburg anymore, and I'm not talking about seasoning.
Spice was first introduced as like a herb or if you want to call it incense. But after some laboratory tests in 2008, it was found to be basically synthetic cannabis.
Until recently, you could buy it at most places that sell tobacco. It comes in little packs that say it's not for human consumption. However, people use it as a legal alternative to marijuana.
I originally smoked marijuana, but then upon trying to get a job, I started smoking spice. And I just smoke spice to stay within legality for getting a job.
But for some people, smoking spice or marijuana isn't all about getting high.
The doctors still haven't figured out what's wrong with me. I've gone through tons of tests and tons of medicine, and the only thing I found that consistently alleviates the nausea and pains that I have almost every day is marijuana.
Spice shares many properties with marijuana, but some fear that it can cause harmful effects.
It's not safe. Anything synthetic like that and you introduce it to your body, it's a foreign substance, and it's not a safe product.
Others claim that the only negative side effects include snacking and a lack of productivity. I'm Nathan Johnson with Hub City TV.
According to CNN Money, Hattiesburg ranks high on the charts for launching a small business. In our next story, Jessica Richmond explains how some local business owners compete in hard economic times.
In 2009, CNN Money named Hattiesburg as one of the top 10 cities to launch a small business. Hattiesburg business owners seem to agree.
If you look, I mean, Hattiesburg is compromised outside of the medical community, and then the educational community is predominantly small business. I mean, this community thrives on it.
Ashley Eads, co-owner of Cork Wine and Martini Bar, says that his business is something new for Hattiesburg.
I felt that Hattiesburg, especially out here in West Hattiesburg, didn't have a lot of businesses like this. It's a really good concept that allows people that doesn't drink a lot of wine or doesn't know about a lot of wine, they can come in here and have something by the glass, try it. If they don't like it, they move on without having to, put the expense out to buy a bottle.
Another Hattiesburg business owner says the property is an incentive to start a small business.
More than anything, it's the real estate prices. To have a piece of property this large for a very reasonable price on the major thoroughfare in town, it's difficult to do that in larger cities.
John Neal is the owner of the Depot Bistro downtown, as well as Keg and Barrel Pub on Hardy Street. He says that along with Hattiesburg being an ideal place to open a business, it's still seen the impact of the economy.
I wouldn't say that recently we've felt some of the effects, and I don't know if that's a combination of the economy and just more businesses opening, because if you can believe it, in this so-called bad economy, there's tons of restaurants and bars still opening. So I don't know if that's why, but I would say last spring I didn't feel anything till this fall, and it's nothing major, but I can see that it slowed down slightly.
Even with an uncertain economy, small business owners would recommend Hattiesburg to others.
And if someone's looking to get into a small business, I think Hattiesburg's a great spot if you got, a good concept or a good product. Absolutely.
Reporting for Hub City TV, I'm Jessica Richmond.
Up next in sports, Austin gives us an update on the recent shootings of 3 Southern Miss football players and takes us into the life of student athletes. So stay tuned.